Hey guys, it's Neon Nazi, back again with another Destiny 6 video. In today's video, we're going to be covering both the Franciscas and both the Gunters. Now I know that they were featured last week, so this video should have come out at the beginning of the week, because some of you guys might already have these units, or some of you might have pulled them throughout the week because their chances of being pulled were increased, right? But I was just super busy, as many of you guys know, but I'm making it now, and from now on, whenever these features happen, I'll be doing it first day of the week, okay? So before we get into the video, I just want a favor from you guys, basically. Every time I start the video, I start off with, hey guys, it's Neon Nazi, back again with another Destiny 6 video, and then I just go on with the video, right? Do you guys have any tips on how else I could start my video? Because I feel that's a very generic way. A lot of other YouTubers use it, and I'd be very interested in knowing what you guys would think is more unique. So that being said, let's get into these units. I have all four of these units and I've used all four of them, but I'm only going to be showing you my orbs on two of them because those two are the only ones that I've actually put some effort into. I'll also be showing you guys a few combos that you guys can do. I mean, in the skill preview, because if we start doing combos for these guys in arena, the video is gonna be way too long. So first of all, Paper Francisca, her first skill is Tempest. I think that means a storm or something, and trust me, when she uses this skill, it is a literal storm. It hits hard, guys. It scales off of defense, which you guys can see, 650% of defense, and it will ignore the target's defense by 60%. And then you guys might think it's an amp skill, but it's not. Well, it is an amp skill. The amp damage basically base itself on how many buffs your allies have. So if they have one buff, you'll do 747. If they have two buffs, you will deal 845. If you have four or more buffs, you will deal 975. And at max skill, with four or more buffs, this damage is almost equal to 1300% of her defense, which, trust me, can one-shot a lot of things. Also because at max skill, you are going to be getting 80% of ignore defense. Skill 2 is Royal Bird, which is super great because it provides her with two buffs, and she needs four buffs, so half the job she does on her own. She's a self-supporting woman. She's a strong, independent, well, not independent because she needs someone else to, you guys get my point. Increases damage dealt by allies by 35%, decreases damage taken by allies by 40% for 12 seconds. At max, the cooldown goes down, the damage that you deal goes up, the damage that you receive goes down, and the duration of both of these buffs go up. I use her with Soho or Rakiona. They both give the team two buffs that are separate because buffs don't overlap, okay? So you want to have four different buffs. And the buffs that they give are different from the buffs that she gives. So that's technically four buffs. And then I just use her first skill to nuke things down. Her leader skill increases attack, which is kind of what's the word? Counterintuitive, because she scales off of defense, but then she buffs attack, which is kind of like, what the hell? Tempest, it's her first skill again on a striker. 5,000 strike points, which is pretty good. I would honestly say that it is better to use her in your core 3, but that being said, 5,000 strike points is pretty low for a 5-star unit, and there have been multiple times in arena, well, not multiple, maybe like 4 or 5 times in arena, where the Francisca comes in with a striker. They just happen to have 4 buffs. She nukes me. She just happens to crit me, and then I get either one-shotted or pretty much I'm dead. Like, I have basically no health left. So let's get into the skill preview. I'm trying to go through this as fast as I can, but also at the same time, I'm trying to give you guys as much information as I can. So it's a one hit, right? It's a one hit, one kill. You only have one shot. So what I do is I buff with Soho, and then I buff with Francisca. In PvP, it doesn't matter because you can only hit the leader, right? But in PvE, what I do is I buff with Soho or with anybody, buff with Francisca, and then I try to get everybody within the hitbox. Try to get as many people or many units as I can within that area of effect, and then I just unleash the skill. Okay, so let's go back. From now on, I'm gonna also start giving you guys tips on on Cress. So orbs, yes, you can ruin her on concentration, but unless you have someone to buff crit rate, you're probably not going to crit a lot because this is only a one shot. So it's either you crit or you don't. And if you don't crit even at max skill, you're going to have to wait like 30 seconds. So orbs, I would say Iron Guard. I rune her with Iron Guard, and a lot of other players that I visit rune her with Iron Guard as well. Orber with Iron Guard, sorry. The reason being, I think that everybody favors the 20% defense increase from Iron Guard rather than the 10% increase in crit rate from concentration. And also, I think for Cress, for any unit in the game, Grit is your default. Getting Grit will reduce your cooldown by 10 seconds, which I think is huge, right? Because this skill right here is 30 seconds at max skill. When you reduce it by 10%, it goes on to 27%, or 27 seconds. Those 3 seconds of this skill being available quicker can mean life or death in Arena, because in Arena, like, I know it counts down with 1 second, but literally like half a second or even quarter of a second, it counts. Your reaction time, it counts. So in all honesty, I would skill up her first skill first and then her second skill. Also going back to Cress, yes, Grit is amazing, but I actually rune her with Resistance Cress because sometimes I have the buffs ready and then the buffs get stripped and then I deal like almost no damage. Like I'm supposed to deal 1300, but then I deal like 850, which is a huge difference, trust me. Okay, so let's get on to her sister. Rock Francisca, Grinding Hammer, AoE damage equal to 50% of Cash's max HP. So she's very similar to her sister because she is a tanky DPS unit. But at the same time, unlike her sister, she will actually scale off of HP. So you want to rune her with Vitality. Yes, Francisca does have multi-hits on both of her skills, but at the same time, well, because she has multi-hits, you can go off of concentration. It's not a bad idea. But if I had to build her, which I will in the future, I'm going to build her on Vitality just to make my team a little bit tankier. So AoE damage equal to 50% of Cash's max HP. If target is disabled, you will deal more damage, which is 75% of your max HP, and you have a 60% chance to knock them down. This skill, I think, hits 4 or 5 times, but what it does, it's like a big boom, and then it's like a drill of additional hits. So it's only the big boom that's going to have the knockdown effect, because if you had a 60% chance of landing a knockdown on a multi-hit, that would just be broken. Her second skill is Hammer Pound. AoE damage, again, scales off with her HP, and if they are disabled, you will ignore their defense by 81%. Her sister starts off with 60% and then goes to 80%. She starts off with 81%, goes up to 91%, and then eventually reaches 102 ignore defense, which I think is insane. This skill, from what I remember, hits 3 times and will actually decrease their defense. So that's a 35% chance to decrease their defense every single time, which is basically 105% chance, statistically, mathematically speaking. So I think that's really, really good. For Cress, again, you can definitely go with Grit again as a good default, but I think for her it would make a lot of sense to go Precision, get that 10% more status activation, so that with her first skill, you knock them down, which is now a 70% chance, and then with your second skill, you have a 45% chance to decrease their defense on every single hit. Because even at max skill, that stays at 35%. So I would actually skill her second ability up first. Her leader skill increases HP of Medina faction, which is great because she skills off HP. And then Grinding Hammer, which is her first skill basically, but I would say she shines best on core 3. She does not belong in the striker position. Also on Grinding Hammer, while I do say max skill your second skill First, I would actually not take it off the table to max skill, or just to put one skill up into her first ability, because just with one skill up on her first ability, she then has 100% chance to remove the target shield. So she's like Adonis, Eve, the HP shield from Eve, damage reflection shields, they're all included, and removing those shields are just so valuable in Arena. So let me show you guys a combo that I use with her. So what I do is well, it's not really a very big combo. I basically use her first skill, knock them down, and because knockdown counts as a disability effect, as long as they still have those blue spirals, I do this to ignore their defense, because it's only if they're knocked down that you ignore defense, right? If they're not knocked down, you don't ignore defense, which is why I say max skill her second skill first, because it will go up to 102 ignore defense. Okay, I think we covered her. Is there anything else I want to say on these units? Not really. Okay, so let's go over to Tragar. We're going to go over to the Scissor Gunter. I actually summoned him very early on in the game, and he was great in manualing certain parts of hard mode. So I'll show you guys a mechanic that I used to take out bosses, but this is for manualing. It's not going to work when you auto. And I think he's great in PvP as well, and I'm going to show you guys a quick combo that you guys can use with him. So both of his skills, first of all, are stacking skills, and both of his skills have certain things that happen when you crit. Or not his second skill, his first skill will reduce cooldowns when you crit, so have him on concentration orbs. It's a it's a sniper skill. Basically, it's a snipe. It has a huge range, guys. You guys will see in a second. And it scales off with attack. When you crit, you will decrease this skill, snipes cooldown by 10 seconds, and then you'll also increase your attack power by 5%. Now that increase in attack power, I am not sure if that's a permanent buff or if it's a temporary buff, because it doesn't say in the game. But regardless, I think it's a pretty good buff. It's better than nothing, right? And it stacks 3 times, which I think is pretty darn good, because the damage on that skill is insane. Second skill is AP High Explosive. It has a knockback and a recovery ban. Both are great. Well, first of all, it's a breakpoint, so it can be used in PvE. And then the knockback and the recovery ban are crucial when it comes to Arena. Also, the recovery ban only happens when you get a critical hit, but you have 2 chances to make that happen. And at max skill, that knockback chance actually goes up to 55 seconds. This skill, you can use it twice, as I just said. His leader skill will increase the disabled duration of Scissor Heroes by 20%, which if you use for his second skill is actually really good, because 20% of 4 seconds, 25% of 4 seconds is 1 second. So I'm not sure if that's going to apply, but technically when you use him with him in the leader, you should be doing a knockback for 5 seconds, and that applied twice if you get both times crit is going to be about 10 seconds in total. Otherwise, it's just 8 seconds, but that's still pretty good. I have used him in the sniper position, and he's very, very underwhelming, simply because on a unit, the max that I've seen anyone go with crit rate is about 45%, but that is with the best title in the game, which gives you 10% crit rate. And without it, I'd say generally you only have a 35% crit rate, right? When this guy comes in with a snipe, it's a one shot. It's either you get it or you don't. And when you don't crit, it's very, very underwhelming. I would ruin him with concentration and precision just to get the knockback chance. So here's what I do in... so this is, first of all, this is what I used in manual mode, okay? So this is the boss stage. Boss stage, there's the boss, and there are 2 mini bosses, right, on either side. So here's what I did. I would go around to the top, and look at this range, guys. Look at this range. It's so huge. So I would come around here and stay away from all the bosses, snipe him, right, and he would die. And then I would go down, and I would snipe the mini boss, and then I would go in and start taking down the main boss. So you guys might be wondering, well, Nez, you probably had OP orbs on him. Nope. Granted, this was on hard mode. I never used him in hell mode, but in hard mode, all I had on him was he was awakened once. He was at level 50, 5 stars. He had all of his orbs, he had no crest, all of his orbs were 3 stars, and they were all at +6. If you awaken him a few times, level 6, 4-star concentration crests or orbs, you guys should be one-shotting the mini-bosses just as I one-shotted mini-bosses in hard mode. You guys should be doing that for the mini-bosses in hell mode. So here's a combo that I would suggest you guys use in Arena. Basically, you do this, knockback, snipe once, snipe twice, knockback, snipe thrice. Now, of course, you're not going to always land the knockback, but with precision crests, you should be at a max skill. It should be a 65% chance to knock back twice, which is pretty darn good. Despite him getting better knockback chances on his second skill, what's up to you? If you guys want to maximize utility, go for his second skill. If you guys want to maximize damage, go for his first skill. So now we have Paper Gunter, the best crit rate and crit damage buffer in the game. Love this guy. Again, without me even saying anything, I'm pretty sure you guys have guessed that you should run him on concentration orbs. First skill is Atomic Laser, which is an inline, so basically try to get as many people in the line as possible. Same thing, same concept as Paper Francisca, who we just covered. It has a chance to shock, and it has a cooldown reduction, and the cooldown reduction only applies when you crit, which is why concentration is a multi-hit skill, so everybody that falls in the line will get hit multiple times. So, and the cooldown reduction with the first Gunter was on his first, right? On himself, on his snipe ability. This guy will actually reduce the cooldown of his allies. So he's like the charity cooldown kind of guy. And he has a 15% chance to shock for 7.5 seconds, which isn't a lot, but it's a multi-hit. So I think he hits like 4 times, which mathematically, statistically speaking, is a 60% chance to shock. His first skills of attack, by the way, his second skill is Glare Kit, which has a 20% crit rate and a 50% crit damage increase for 12 seconds, and it has the 80% chance to remove debuffs from allies. Now, I know this sounds amazing, but this is kind of counterintuitive because you want to generally start off the battle with crit rate and crit damage buffs, but then you generally want to save your cleanse for somewhere in the middle or towards the end of the fight, and this having just a 40-second cooldown even at max skills is going to 40 seconds is basically half the time in Arena, because in Arena, how much do you get? Like 80 seconds, I think. So I don't think a lot of people use him for the cleanse, but it can be used if you guys have like Carlota or Rock Jun. Obviously, you guys can use it for the cooldowns. I would maximize his his second skill first, because just after one skill up, my Paper Gunter actually only has one skill up on his second ability, and that increases crit rate by 30%, which is just insane. And then his leader skill will increase the crit rate of Paper Heroes by 10%. So he's actually an amazing pair-up with Paper Francisca. So run him as your leader, right? Because Paper Francisca's leader skill is increasing attack, which is very, very counterintuitive for her. So you run her, so run Paper Francisca with Iron Guard, and you can comfortably get 30%, yes, but let's just say on really crappy Iron Guard orbs and title, you got her to 20%, okay? You got her to 20% crit rate. With this crit leader skill, that gives her a 30% crit rate, and then with the buff at one skill up gives you a 60% chance to crit something, which is a pretty good shot. Striker skill is Atomic Laser, but then honestly, you don't use him for this skill. You use him for his second skill, which is not his striker skill, so don't use him in the striker position, use him in the core 3. It's very straightforward of how to use this guy. Just buff, and then try to get as many units as you can within this line, because for every unit that you crit, you are going to be reducing cooldown. And I think this is a pretty wide. I'm losing my voice. I need water. Hold on, guys. Basically, just try to get as many units in the... I just lost my voice. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. This might be annoying for a few people. But yeah, I think he's absolutely great. He's the reason why people are able to one-shot the Stonehenge Giant, because you land the shock debuff on the giant, right? And the shock debuff actually makes the giant take more damage, and the rock gen just has 3 amps, nukes the Stonehenge Giant, one shot, 1 kill. For Cress, I would say rune him with the grit, because on second skill that's a 40-second cooldown, and with the grit 10% cooldown, it should then be at a 36% cooldown, which in arena, guys, like 1 second in arena means so much. And 4 seconds or 3 seconds, or even just like every second counts, basically. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any tips on how I could start my video to make myself a bit more unique from other YouTubers, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, learned something from it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Helps keep me motivated. And until the next time, guys, Neon out.